Hare Krishna, welcome to today's class of Bhagavad Gita. As it is, we are in chapter 10 entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, and we are supposed to read verse 5, but since verse 4 and 5 are grouped together, I'll read both, but we'll repeat only 5. Buddhir jnanam sammoha shama satyam dama shamaha sukham dukkham bhava bhavo bhayam cha bhayam cha ahimsa samata tushti stapa danam yasha yasha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithak vidha ahimsa satyam tushti stapa danam yasho yasha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithak vidha. Now we'll read word by word translation, and first I'll say, and please repeat behind me. Intelligence, buddhi, intelligence. Jnanam, knowledge. Asamoha, freedom from doubt. Shama, forgiveness. Satyam, truthfulness. Damaha, control of senses. Shama, control of mind. Sukham, happiness. Dukkham, distress. Bhava, birth. Abhava, death. Bhayam, fear. Cha, also. Abhayam, fearlessness. Eva, cha, and. Ahimsa, non-violence. Samata, equilibrium. Tushti, satisfaction. Tapaha, penance. Danam, charity. Yashaha, fame. Ayashaha, infamy. Bhavanti, come about. Bhava, natures. Bhutanam, of living entities. Matta, from me. Eva, certainly. Prithak vidha, variously arranged. Now translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of senses, control of mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. Purport we'll read just for 10.5. So we'll start from, I think you can easily find Ahimsa, paragraph starting from Ahimsa. Ahimsa, non-violence, means that one should not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. Material activities that are promised by so many politicians, sociologists, philanthropists, etc., do not produce any very good results, because the politicians and the philanthropists have no transcendental vision. They do not know what is actually beneficial for human society. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of human body can be achieved. The human body is meant for spiritual realization. So any movement or any commissions which do not further that end commit violence on the human body. That which furthers the future spiritual happiness of people in general is called non-violence. Samatha, equanimity, refers to freedom from attachment and aversion. To be very much attached or to be very much detached is not the best. This material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. That which is favorable for prosecuting Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and that which is unfavorable should be rejected. This is called samatha, equanimity. A person in Krishna consciousness has nothing to reject and nothing to accept, save in terms of his usefulness in prosecution of Krishna consciousness. Tushti, satisfaction, means one should not be eager to gather more and more material goods by unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with whatever is obtained by grace of Supreme Lord. That is called satisfaction. Tapas means austerity or penance. There are many rules and regulations in the Vedas which apply here, like rising early in the morning, taking a bath. Sometimes it's very troublesome to rise early in the morning. But whatever voluntary trouble one may suffer in this way is called penance. Similarly, there are prescriptions for fasting on certain days of the month. One may not be inclined to practice such fasting, but because of his determination to make advancement in science of Krishna consciousness, he should accept such bodily troubles when they are recommended. However, one should not fast unnecessarily or against Vedic injunctions. One should not fast for some political purpose. That is described in Bhagavad Gita as fasting in ignorance. And anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in mode of goodness does advance one. However, fasting done in terms of Vedic injunction enriches one in spiritual knowledge. As far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings to some good cause. And what is the good cause? It is that which is conducted in terms of Krishna consciousness. That is not only a good cause, but the best cause. Because Krishna is good, his cause is also good. Thus, charity should be given to a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. According to the Vedic literature, it is enjoined that charity should be given to Brahmanas. The practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of Vedic injunction. But still, the injunction is that charity should be given to Brahmanas. Why? Because they are engaged in higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmana is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahman. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. One who knows Brahman is called Brahmana. Thus, charity is offered to Brahmanas because they are always engaged in higher spiritual service and have no time to earn their livelihood. In the Vedic literature, charity is also to be awarded to one in the renounced order of life, the sannyasis. The sannyasis beg from door to door, not for money, but for missionary purposes. The system is that they go from door to door to awaken the householders from the slumber of ignorance. Because the householders are engaged in family affairs and forgotten their actual purpose in life, awakening their Krishna consciousness, it is the business of sannyasis to go as beggars to the householders and encourage them to be Krishna conscious. As it is said in Vedas, one should awake and achieve what is due him in his human form of life. This knowledge and method is distributed by sannyasis. Hence, charity is to be given to the renouncer of the life, to the Brahmanas, and similar good causes, not to any whimsical cause. Yashas, fame, should be according to Lord Chaitanya, who said that man is famous when he is known as a great devotee. This is real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is truly famous. One who does not have such a fame is infamous. All these qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in the society of demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in the devotional service of Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities as arranged by Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find, good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in the material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. That's the end of the purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manoabhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sopadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatrubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. So I'll just read the translation of verse 5. So I'll read from middle, starting from non-violence. Non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. So these are 6 qualities in today's verse. All these various qualities of living being are created by me alone. So these are 6, and there were some which were named yesterday, and I was told that the devotee could not finish even all of them describing all the qualities mentioned in verse 4, and if I wish I could speak on them. But actually I was not intending to discuss on more on these qualities even mentioned in the verse 5, but we'll go briefly over it. Like this chapter started in the chapter 10. Krishna has already described in chapter 9 devotional service, especially at the end of chapter 9, and it's the most confidential knowledge, man mana bhav bhakto mad bhakto. So he says, engage your mind in thinking about me, and how to do it is there even before, even in chapter 7 and 9 he has described how to remember him. He has described through his energy, and now he is mentioning the qualities. Later we'll see Arjuna will ask, how can we remember you, tell me about that. And Krishna will say that I'll describe only some of them, because this Krishna and his qualities are unlimited. Even Krishna cannot count how many. Anant Shesh cannot count. He's counting and it goes on increasing. So there's no possibility of counting them. And he has listed some of the qualities which are there in living beings, and here would specifically mean more about human being, because in other forms of life there is not much choice with the living entity to take benefit of this knowledge. This chance, unique opportunity is given only in human form of life. And so these qualities, whatever is mentioned, and another point to note is Krishna, like even in verse 4, Sukham Dukkham Bhava Abhava Bhayam Abhayam, and in today's verse only Yasha Ayasha, fame and infamy. So the dualities. So whether good or bad, all qualities come from Krishna. So knowing that, how should we apply it to ourselves? How this knowledge applies to us? Should we think because everything comes from Krishna, doing anything and everything is good, even if somebody is misappropriating Krishna's fund, it's okay? is Krishna's fund, and Krishna was stealing butter, I am stealing some money, what is there? It comes from Krishna, even that quality comes from Krishna. Is it okay to think like that? So Krishna has given this knowledge, what to do and what not to do. Vedas are meant for this, and somewhere it comes that in general, somewhere it said, like it's said in general about Vedas that Vedas give perfect knowledge, but even in Vedas there are Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and most of it is Karma Kanda actually. So that if you do this, of course it is not vikarma, but it is karma, but fruitive mentality, that if you do this you will get this. It is with the desire to enjoy, and this desire to enjoy keeps us in this material world. Whereas the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver the mankind from this naissance of material existence. So this entire Vedas also, we cannot say that all, even the Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda is not pure devotion, and only little portion is Upasana Kanda. And how much can we study? How much can we read and remember? Even Bhagavad Gita, it was spoken to Arjuna and he grasped it in one time, but we, even after having read several times, we are not able to remember it or even grasp it and apply it to ourselves. So first quality here is ahimsa. So about these qualities, it is not just here. These qualities come time and again. Ahimsa also comes in 13.8, which gives process of knowledge. So non-violence is also an item in the process of knowledge. Also in 16.2, divine and demonic nature. So first is Krishna is in the first 3 verses of chapter 16 is describing the divine qualities. There also ahimsa comes, non-violence. Also in 17.14, austerity of body, non-violence is mentioned. So if we want to just, of course this is the most important thing which Prabhupada says, that what is real non-violence. It's not just not about killing others, whether it's human being or animals, but it is not to cause distress to others, which will not put others into misery and confusion. And what is the greatest confusion in this world? That people think enjoying the life is the goal of life. Enjoying the life, this is the goal of human life, that to enjoy our senses, which is completely mistaken. Our life is not to meant to enjoy our senses, but this human body has been given after passing through many millions of lifetime to different species of life, and we are meant to utilize to invoke our Krishna consciousness, and anything lacking, or if we are not giving Krishna consciousness to others, then it is violence. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of human body can be achieved. Like in Isha Upanishad, an analogy has been quoted that human body has been compared to a boat, and acharyas are compared to an expert boatman, and the scriptures are compared to a favorable breeze. In spite of all these, if we don't utilize this boat, this instrument, to swim over this ocean of material existence, then we are committing a suicide. It's called Atmaha, killer of the soul. Similarly, about samatha, today's Prabhupada's quote in the morning, what was read, that's also about steadiness. Samatha also would mean steadiness of mind. And samatha also has been discussed several times, starting from chapter 2, Dukheshva Nudvignamana Sukheshu Vigyat. That means not to be overly distressed when at the times of difficulty, or be overjoyed in times of happiness. This is steadiness or equanimity, to maintain equilibrium in all state of life. 13.10 also part of this process of knowledge. 13.8 to 12 is process of knowledge Krishna is giving. Samachitvam, equilibrium. Samachitvam ishta anishta upapattishu. Equilibrium amongst having obtained desirable and undesirable. Next is Tushti. Tushti, Prabhupada also speaks very briefly. Tushti means satisfaction of the feeling of pleasure that gives that we have when we have achieved something what we wanted or we would have desired to have it. When we get that, we get a feeling of satisfaction. But this satisfaction stays for a little while, and we always, most of the times, people think that only if I had little more beautiful, if I was little more taller, little more intelligent, if I could sing little more melodiously, if I would give little better class than what I am doing now, if I had little more money, a few rupees more, and this thirst will never quench our desires for achieving more and more. This is never ending. So it is said, if one says, I had a little more, I should be very satisfied, you make a mistake. If you are not content with what you have, you will not be satisfied even if it were doubled. Once I read one quotation which I liked very much. It says, happiness resides not in possession, not in gold. The spirit of happiness lies in the spirit of happiness lies in the soul. We are looking for happiness in external things around us within the material world. But we are not looking inside. We have our most well-wishing friends sitting within us. We are ignorant of that. We are ignorant of who are we. And that's why we are looking for material pleasures, and we are thinking only if I had this, then it would make me happy. And this way, if we are running after material happiness, it's like compared to mirage. It's like somebody running in the desert in search of water. It looks like water is there at a far distance, and as you run, you don't get close to it. Even the image of water goes further, because it's only actually an illusion. It runs further and you go on running. So it will not bring real happiness. Real happiness will come only when we take shelter of Krishna. And chapter 5, last verse, Bhoktaram Yagtapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhidam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati. So there is given peace formula. When we have peace, then we can have satisfaction and happiness. Like in chapter 2, it comes Ashantasya Kuta Sukham. If we are not peaceful, how can we be happy? And how can we be peaceful? If we know Krishna. One who factually knows, Krishna says there, that I am the supreme enjoyer, beneficiary of Bhoktaram Yagtapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. All planets, I am the chief of all planets, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Suhida, he is the greatest well-wishing friend of everyone, not just human being. If we know this, then we can be peaceful. We are looking for friends outside. We don't know the best friend is within us. With us all the time, not just in this lifetime, life after life, who has never left us for even alone, even for a moment, and who is always ready to give us good counsel. But are we ready to accept it? If we don't have proper receptacle, even if a thing is given, we will not be able to receive it. Tapas is another item, which means austerity or penance. Prabhupada also describes here about some austerities, which may sound difficult, but not so difficult actually. But this is Kali Yuga, and as in the 12th canto it comes that in the Kali Yuga, the memory of people is very short. They are very unfortunate, always in anxiety. So even small things, what we have been asked, it looks difficult. Taking bath also looks an austerity, especially in winter. we are not inclined to accept even small austerities. Prabhupada says if you just chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regulative principles, I guarantee you will return back to Godhead. And we doubt, is it possible? As if we are able to follow this sincerely and fully. I mean, we are following, but can we say with confidence that I'm never eating anything except Krishna Prasad, not even one particle, anything apart from Krishna Prasad? Sometimes, like one of our friend may bring something and we just accept it. We don't ask whether it's Prasad, from where, and because we just take it for granted. Oh, this is also a Krishna ISKCON devotee, so he or she must be getting us Prasad. We just accept it. We don't care to ask whether it's, and sometimes something is given, we don't even ask whether it's Bhoga or Prasad. So are we really consciously and carefully even doing what we have been given minimum things to follow? We can't do big austerities. We can't do austerities which were done in previous yugas, like sitting in meditation. For 1 minute we cannot sit quietly and meditate with focus. What to say about meditating? And even meditation was never an easy process. We hear in the past, when meditation was the process, they had long life, and they had to practice meditation for a long time to achieve success. So how can the men of Kali Yuga, who are so short lived, which is said to be 100 years maximum, nobody lives on, I mean very few even touch even 100 or go beyond 100. Nowadays, at least in India, I think average lifetime maybe, longevity maybe like 60, 70. Beyond that, if people are living, they are living on bonus, and still some people take up to such processes like meditation. Where is the possibility of success? It's not meant for this age. That's why we have been given very easy process by Lord Chaitanya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshami ma sucha. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall relieve you from all sinful reactions. Do not worry, do not be afraid, do not fear, do not doubt. He says, but still we cannot keep faith on his words. And Lord Chaitanya is pained to see that people of this Kali Yuga have no inclination or ability to follow this instruction, simple instruction also. See, so he comes back with an easy process. Golokera Premdhan, Harinam Sankirtan. Just by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are given this opportunity that we can achieve the highest perfection of human life. But even after making the process so simple, it doesn't appear to us so simple. We are not able to chant 1 round with attention. Mamapi Durdaivam, Iha Jani Nanuragam. Krishna has invested all his energy in his holy name. But my misfortune, I have no taste, I have no real taste to chant his holy name. This is the misfortune of Kali Yuga. But by grace of his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, so many people have been able to take up this process and at least begin to make an effort. Even though we might not have reached perfection, we may reach perfection someday in this life, or at least we have started the process by joining the movement, by expressing faith in Prabhupada's words. Of course, Prabhupada doesn't speak anything whimsically. He is always speaking on basis of Shastra, based on Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. When we are reading Bhagavad Gita and other books of Prabhupada in the beginning, I was feeling how Prabhupada is always quoting perfect analogies, but as you go on reading more, and especially in Bhagavatam, I am also not very much well read, but Bhagavatam I came across many analogies. Prabhupada is not quoting anything on his own. He always quotes from Shastra. That's why even the analogies he quotes seem so perfect. He was never whimsical in his teaching. He never taught what he thought is right. He's always trying to say what Krishna is trying to teach. That's why even he called his Bhagavad Gita as it is. And since he tried to deliver Krishna's word as it is, we can see the impact it has created in this world. That's why it's called Hare Krishna movement. It's supposed to bring a revolution in our life. Of course, it might or might not have bring such a revolution, but some sort of beginning has happened in our life. It depends on our sincerity with how much it has revolutionized our life. For some, it is just like accepting a lifestyle in the beginning, but there is very much more depth to it. And if we are sincere, Krishna will guide us. In this chapter, 10th chapter, 10th verse, Krishna says, Tesham satat yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. Those who are constantly engaged in my service, I give them the intelligence. So when Krishna gives the intelligence, how can we lack in anything? So we have to keep faith and just be engaged sincerely, chant seriously with all faith and with as much attention as is possible. And even if we see our mind wandering, Krishna says, bring it back. Like a child, mind has to be brought back under control. We try. And then other two are, I think, Yasha and Ayasha. No, Danam is another thing. So about this Yagya, Dan, Tapa, Kriya, these three activities are mentioned. Krishna says these are never to be given up. Again, but still, all the activities, not just about Yagya, Dan, Tapa, all the activities mentioned from the beginning, intelligence, non-violence, equilibrium, tushti, anything and everything, can be in three modes. So, there is austerity in mode of goodness, austerity in the mode of passion, austerity in the mode of ignorance. Similarly, about penance and charity also. So, about charity, Prabhupada here says 50%. 50% should be given, I think he said here 50%. Other day I was reading another verse, Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi, there Prabhupada says only about the surplus. That was very kind of him to say that, because that verse was not pure devotion about someone who has, Krishna was asking those who are not doing, so just join it to me. Whatever you do, whatever you act, whatever you give away, do it as an offering to me. So there Prabhupada, whatever you give away, there he says give the surplus. But sometimes if you ask people to give the surplus, they'll never have surplus. They have their needs, unlimited needs, and they'll never have any surplus. And this 50% also, again, Prabhupada doesn't give up on his whimsical idea. He follows the example said by Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami, of course, was doing at the end of his career, so we can conveniently take it to mean that 50% of saving. But we also have Kolavecha Sridhar's example in Chaitanya Charitamrita, who was giving 50%, and he was not a rich man, but he was spending 50% of his earning. So it's not at the end of your career, from your savings, that 50% has to be given. And not only for those who are earning very fat salary, or even from business, if you are earning a lot, 50% has to be given. This 50% injection is for everyone. Now the instruction is there, and we try to follow as much as possible. And as we try to follow, Krishna will help us to surrender more. But we have to make a beginning somewhere. Krishna says, Ye yatham ram prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyam. If we surrender more, Krishna will give us more faith. All these things, what Krishna is saying in this chapter, there Krishna says, Manmana bhav mad bhakta, and this chapter Krishna starts with Krishna saying, I'll say you again. Why again? Because he spoke about himself in chapter, even chapter 7 starts without Arjuna asking a question. Krishna starts to speak up on from his side on his own, even chapter 9 and chapter 10 also. So he says in chapter 10 beginning, because you are my very dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that's better than what I have already explained. So he spoke most confidential knowledge, and he is saying this is better. because it will increase our remembrance of Krishna. So all the knowledge that we are gaining is to increase our knowledge, increase our remembrance of Krishna. And why we have to cultivate this remembrance? So that we are able to remember Krishna at the time of death. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktava kalevaram ya prayati sa madbhavam yati nasti atra sanshaya. Because if we are able to remember Krishna at the end of life, then we'll able to attain abode of Krishna and at the end of this life. And what is the benefit of attaining Krishna? Then we don't have to. Krishna says, Abrahman bhuvanan loka punar avartina Arjuna. Up to Brahma loka also, if you reach, you will have to come back here again. But maam upetta tu konteya punar janma na vidyate. Once having attained me, you don't have to come back here. So that's why we must make an attempt to get out of this material existence. And as I was saying, all the qualities, whether mentioned in this verse or elsewhere, they can be in mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. And however, and charity we spoke, and just two more remaining, yasha and ayasha. So it's not just the qualities are coming from Krishna. In the Krishna book, that is Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10, we also have an instance when Krishna was defamed, infamy. Can anyone recall that instance? Yes, right. So the king Satyajit had a jewel and he wanted to show off, and he came to Dwarka, and everyone, he was shining so effulgent, that everyone mistook him to be sun god. He had got that jewel from sun god as benediction, and he wanted to show off. And even the residents of Dwarka come and inform Krishna, who was playing chess at that time. He smiles and he tells them, no, he's just King Satyajit, it's not sun god who has come to see me. They come and inform him, sun god has come to see you. And then, anyway, he had not come to see Krishna. And then he puts this jewel in a temple and starts worshipping. Krishna says, give it to the king, Ugrasen, who was his grandfather. But he was not saying because he was his grandfather, because he was the king. He was that time ruler of so many kingdoms. So he said, give it to him. But Satyajit did not give. And then one time his brother went with this jewel on a horse and he was killed. And when the jewel was lost, Satyajit was saying, and the rumor spread all over that Krishna had stolen the jewel. So what to speak about us when such infamy comes to us? It can happen to us, but we should not be disturbed. This is samata. This is the nature of material world. Fame and infamy, happiness and distress, these things will come and go. But we should not be disturbed. We have to remain equipoised. I also want to mention one very important, before I go to that incident, my personal experience I want to share. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 2.45, Triguna Vishaveda Nisray Guna Bhava Arjuna. So although the three modes, mode of goodness is better, but it's not the best, Krishna says transcend above the three modes, because all the three modes, including the mode of goodness, is binding. The mode of happiness is given in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, I think. Mode of happiness binds one to knowledge and happiness. Mode of goodness binds one to knowledge and happiness. So it's binding, it's not liberating. We have to transcend the three modes. And about sharing my personal experience, I read Bhagavad Gita first time in 1995. I had purchased one Bhagavad Gita. It was not ISKCON's Bhagavad Gita, but it was from some well-known, some kind of religious institute, of course, which is highly criticized by Prabhupada. But that time I didn't know Prabhupada or ISKCON, and I didn't see the publisher or anything. I just bought Bhagavad Gita. I was not an atheist, but I just bought it because before that in our school days from class 5 to 9 we had third language and Sanskrit was there, so we had read some verses of Bhagavad Gita like Vasam Sijinani, some verses were there, mostly maybe chapter 2 and maybe some other also. But when I bought this Bhagavad Gita, I was also trying to read it. I did read it and I found it very boring, and I remember especially this chapter 10, not only boring, I mean, I was not liking how Krishna is saying that I am this and I am that, and I thought, I am tired of hearing this, don't you have something else to say? You only have to say you are the greatest, you are the best. And then when I was this has happened in 1995, so I had almost forgotten or don't remember so much. But recently I recalled this. Recently, maybe that may mean still days pass very quickly. Maybe it's like 1 month or something. I remembered this, and then I thought, what brought about this change? And even before this, like Krishna says, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchit Dhananjay. Not that all the verses are translated differently in other books. Some verses like Avyaktam Vyaktim Apanna 7.23, or even this Ye Api Anya Devta Bhajante Shradhyanvita. Avidhi Purvakam might have been left Avidhi Purvakam, that those who are worshipping other demigods, they are worshipping me. Avidhi Purvakam may be given in other books, other versions. Prabhupada says improperly. Prabhupada is very clearly says this is not proper. So there may be some differences, but it's not that other books are totally giving wrong translation, but why it did not touch me that time. Then I was remembering Prabhupada's introduction to Bhagavad Gita. He makes a very important point that how that might have made the change in me. He says, if I find it easily, he says, if we have to read Bhagavad Gita, I think I can find it. Yeah, I found it. So he says actually the sentence is most importantly the one that one should at least theoretically accept Shri Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I was remembering this. This made the difference. And also, I bought Bhagavad Gita, ISKCON's Bhagavad Gita in 2006 April. And I remembered then I had started chanting in January, not 16 rounds, maybe 1 round, not on beads, just chanting. Even before that, I have chanted in, not before, this was in 2006. So before that, I have gone to ISKCON in 2000. I had visited ISKCON in 2003 or something, I don't remember. 2003 or 2, something like that. And there also, when I was trying to buy a book, not for myself that time I was busy with my job, but I was buying for my father, and somebody showed me Bhagavad Gita. I turned over a page and I saw the translation. I thought, no, this will not go into my head. It was enough boring. And I did not buy. And so maybe it was not the right time for me. And even that book which I had purchased, I had not read in that time. It was only for my father. I read much later in 2006. So I had bought that book. So here Prabhupada says, therefore Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in spirit of devotion. One should not think he is equal to Krishna, nor should he think that Krishna is an ordinary personality or even a very great personality. Lord Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So according to the statements of Bhagavad Gita or statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand Bhagavad Gita should at least theoretically accept Shri Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit, we can understand Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it's a great mystery. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita many places that he is not even known by demigods. What to speak about us will not be able to understand without mercy of devotees like Prabhupada and even his followers or any Vaishnava acharyas. We will not be able to understand. So I also thought maybe this chant, not maybe, must have this like Cheto Darpana Marjanam, because I was chanting. So some purification of heart I had undergone to able to then read. And of course I started from introduction, and even when I joined ISKCON, I joined in 2006, and 2007, 6 also there was this Gita Jayanti. I didn't even know what that day came. I mean, I didn't know every Ekadasi had a name. And then I was in Baroda. Of course, they were giving discount, but not even within the temple. Everywhere there was a discount. Additional book tables had a discount. The regular bookstall did not have a discount. So anyway, there was a discount. I knew. I did not know what purpose. 2007, I was in Nagpur, and then I came to know that this was the day when Bhagavad Gita was spoken, and that's why within ISKCON this book marathon is there. And as I was distributing books, I had some experience that when people read this introduction by Prabhupada is so important. So we should not even jump over to chapter 1 after having got this book. Even this introduction of Prabhupada is so elaborate and so important to instill the right consciousness before we start to read Bhagavad Gita. So I'll stop here. And if there are any questions concerning this verse, I can try to answer. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
What is the meaning of Prabhupada?
Prabhupada, one who takes shelter of lotus feet of Prabhu means here Prabhu means Krishna or Supreme Lord, and Pad means feet, one who has taken shelter of lotus feet of Supreme Lord.
You actually spoke about the prasad.
Prasad, yeah, accepting prasad.
And I work with the other people who actually bring the prasad or lunch or etc. I'm a devotee, so I actually prefer to have prasad. They offer me. How do I actually refuse them?
No, you don't have to refuse them. Actually, you see, I mean, if they are devotees, they should have offered. And they would have offered is fine. And if they are, and you don't know any cooking, you are just accepting what others are bringing you? Or do you have some prasad of your own and you share with other devotees?
Sometimes I share. I say that this is a prasad which my wife cooks and me also cooks. However,
you also accept. No, it's not harmful to accept others' prasad. But are we always carefully even asking if it's whether? I mean, if they are ISKCON devotees, they would have. But even they are not ISKCON devotees.
No, they are not ISKCON devotees. Neither they actually offering a prasad. So they actually cook at home and bring it because it's an officer's involvement or a friendship. So how do I actually refuse them? It will be a disrespect to them. So it's a difficult task for me to actually I
would say that are you not taking a risk? Krishna says if you are not eating prasad, then you are very eating sin. Are you ready to accept a sin and just maintain some material good relationship? You can let them know, I take only prasad. And even if they say this is with no onion, no garlic, okay, can you offer it? And actually, why don't you inspire them to offer it? And maybe they'll say, we are eating meat, we are eating fish. Okay, don't, but at least in Indian houses, I think every house cooks either chapati or rice. And even on the days, suppose there is chicken, mutton, fish, eggs, whatever they have cooked, and they have cooked only this vegetable and nothing else, with chapati, they can offer jaggery to the Lord. And that way they can start the process. Okay, they cannot give up fish. They can start chanting. They don't want to start chanting, but okay, start somewhere. You can offer chapati with milk and jaggery, sugar, and they can also have prasad. And for you also, they can give. And if you accept, is fine. But otherwise, let them know I don't accept apart from prasad, because yeah.
So they are vegetarian, not a non-vegetarian. I know, and they also say that this is a vegetarian, we are vegetarian family.
But it's not enough to be vegetarian. Prabhupada says we are Krishnatarian.
So, Aditi, I do one kind of a thing, and correct me if I'm wrong. They bring a prasad or a khana, and I actually put tulsi, Prabhu tulsi. And
I've heard that, but I'm not very sure. You know, this is we are doing what we like to do. Just putting tulsi, it was not offered before, and anyway, maybe these items they had in the breakfast at their homes also. So anyway, and what is our process? What we are going to offer to Krishna should not have been tasted, even for matter of salt, whether it's right taste. We keep the faith in Krishna that please guide me properly, and so that my cooking is perfect. And even if at the end of it one day we discover, oh, I didn't add the salt properly or at all, okay, you may add little when you are going to honor prasad, or you may leave it like that, that Krishna has tasted this way, let me accept it this way one day. But otherwise we are taking a risk, so better not take the risk. This life is very precious. I'm sorry, we may have to be harsh sometimes, but what is beneficial to us, we have to think, we have taken up the process, and it is up to us to follow it sincerely. And that's why when Prabhupada says, just do this, or Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, just by knowing this, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, now at least we have known the transcendental, if not fully, we know, we don't criticize Krishna for Rasa Leela, we know the transcendental nature, at least theoretical understanding, something we have understood, transcendental nature of Krishna's birth and his activities. And then he says, Tekta Janma Punar Janma Naiti Mameti Arjuna. So simple, and then we think, how is it possible? We don't have enough faith. Krishna is saying, just abandon, just surrender unto me, and I shall free you from all sinful reaction. We don't have faith in Krishna's words. So we have to increase our faith, solidify our faith in Krishna's words. And how do we go about it? Slowly. You don't I don't know where do you come from, maybe from Delhi, so maybe you'll return to your workplace tomorrow or in few days. Not that you stop immediately, but slowly, and try to make them understand, why didn't you start doing, you know, I'm not feeling good, and I was thinking maybe it has happened because I did not take prasad. And I was suddenly not feeling well, and then I was remembering, I just heard this class and I was remembering, oh, I'm not following Prabhupada's instruction. You have your own ways, I agree, you have your own good wishes, and you want to give me, why don't you offer it? And if it is vegetarian, anyway you are going to eat, don't start with too many procedures, having a different plate, but can you make it for Krishna or whatever they have? But even demigod prasad, because they don't have proper understanding. Otherwise demigods, we respect Vaishnavas, and demigods are all devotees of Lord, so we don't disrespect them. But demigod prasad also is not very good, in the sense that the people who offered, they didn't have proper consciousness. Otherwise we are respectful even to demigods, because they are also Vaishnavas. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna.